What is participation? There is a subtle assumption that shapes much of modern life. It is rarely stated directly. Most people are not even aware they hold it. The assumption is this: we are observers. We stand over here. Reality stands over there. We look at it, study it, interpret it, measure it, attempt to understand it. The world becomes an object, we become spectators. Knowledge becomes observation, meaning becomes something to discover. Life becomes something happening in front of us. Yet there are moments when this picture begins to crack. Moments when we sense that we are not merely watching life. We are involved in it, not occasionally, not metaphorically, fundamentally. The question then arises: what is participation? At first glance, participation appears simple. To participate means to take part, to join in, to become involved, to contribute. This definition works well enough in everyday situations. We participate in conversations. We participate in communities. We participate in projects. We participate in relationships. Yet there is a deeper meaning hidden beneath these familiar examples. Because participation may not simply describe something we do. Participation may describe what we are. Consider a conversation. It is tempting to imagine that a conversation consists of two people exchanging information. One speaks, the other listens. Ideas move back and forth. Yet anyone who has experienced a truly meaningful conversation knows something more mysterious is occurring. The conversation develops its own momentum. Unexpected insights emerge. Ideas arise that neither person planned. The exchange becomes creative. Something new appears, not from one person, not from the other, but from the relationship itself. The conversation becomes more than the sum of its participants. This is participation in action. Something emerges between. The word between may be one of the most important words in understanding participation. Participation occurs in the between self and world, between question and answer, between attention and reality, between people, between experience and meaning, between the known and the unknown. The observer model tends to focus on separate entities. Participation focuses on relationship, and relationship changes everything. Because relationship is not merely a connection between things. Relationship creates new possibilities. Think about music. A piece of music does not truly exist as an experience until someone listens. The notes may exist on a page. The recording may exist in a file. Yet music as music emerges through encounter. The listener participates. The musician participates. The sound participates. The moment participates. Something happens between them. The experience cannot be reduced to any single component. Meaning emerges through relationship. The same appears true of much of life. This insight has profound implications. If participation is fundamental, then meaning cannot be entirely located in the world, nor can it be entirely located in the observer. Meaning emerges through participation, through encounter, through relationship. This may explain why the same event can affect different people so differently. The event alone is not the whole story. The relationship matters, the participant matters, the quality of attention matters, the depth of engagement matters. Participation shapes what becomes possible. Perhaps this is why attention plays such an important role in human experience. Attention is one of the primary ways we participate. Where attention goes, relationship forms. What receives attention becomes part of our lived reality. A flower ignored and a flower intended to exist in profoundly different worlds. Not because the flower changed, because the relationship changed. Participation begins with attention, yet it does not end there. Attention opens the door. Participation steps through it. Wonder deepens the movement. Wonder says, there is more here. Attention notices. Wonder remains. Wonder resists the temptation to reduce reality to what is already known. It keeps relationship alive. It allows participation to deepen. Without wonder, participation collapses into analysis. Without participation, wonder collapses into distance. The two belong together. Questions function in a similar way. A genuine question is not merely a request for information. A genuine question creates relationship. The moment a question enters consciousness, participation begins. The question starts organizing perception. Attention shifts, new possibilities emerge. The person asking the question begins changing. Participation is already underway long before any answer appears. Questions do not simply seek understanding, they create it, and they create it through participation. This brings us to one of the most important aspects of participation. Participation is creative, not necessary in the sense of inventing reality, but in the sense of bringing possibilities into existence. A friendship is created through participation. A community is created through participation. A skill is created through participation. An identity is created through participation. A life is created through participation. Potential becomes actuality through involvement. The observer watches possibilities. The participant enters them. This may be why participation often feels risky. Observation allows distance. Distance provides safety. Participation requires vulnerability. To participate means to become affected, changed, influenced, exposed. A person can analyze love without loving, study courage without acting courageously, investigate meaning without committing to anything meaningful. Participation asks more. Participation requires embodiment. It requires skin in the game. It requires entering the conversation rather than merely describing it. And that is precisely why participation transforms. There is another dimension of participation that deserves attention. Participation appears woven into the structure of life itself. Breathing is participation. Language is participation. Culture is participation. Relationships are participation. Thinking is participation. Even solitude is a form of participation because it occurs within a larger web of existence. The notion of complete separation begins to look increasingly strange. We influence and our influence, we shape and are shaped. We participate and are participated in. The boundaries are more porous than they first appear. Perhaps this is why participation feels so closely connected to meaning. Meaning emerges whenever relationship deepens, and participation is the deepening of relationship. The more fully we participate, the more alive experience becomes. Not necessarily easier, not necessarily more comfortable, but more real, more vivid, more meaningful. Life becomes something encountered rather than merely observed, something lived rather than merely understood. This perspective transforms the way we think about growth. Growth is not simply the accumulation of information. Growth is increasing participation. A child participates in the world differently than an adult. An apprentice participates differently than a master. A spectator participates differently than a creator. Wisdom itself may be understood as a refinement of participation. The ability to enter relationship with reality more deeply, more consciously, more responsibly, more lovingly. What if participation is not something we choose to do from time to time? What if participation is the fundamental condition of existence? What if the real choice is not whether we participate, but how consciously we participate? This possibility changes everything. The world ceases to be a collection of objects waiting to be understood. It becomes a field of relationships waiting to be entered. Questions become invitations. Attention becomes engagement. Wonder becomes openness. Meaning becomes encounter. Life becomes conversation. In the end, participation may be one of the deepest realities available to human experience. Not because it explains everything, but because it changes the way everything is understood. Participation reminds us that we are not standing outside existence looking in. We are already inside it, already involved, already contributing, already being shaped by the relationships we inhabit. The task is not to begin participating. The task is to awaken to the participation already taking place. To become conscious of the conversation, to recognize that meaning emerges through relationship, to understand that life is not merely something we observe. Life is something we join, potential. And perhaps that has been the invitation all along. Not to stand at the edge of reality analyzing it, but to step forward and take part.